Imagine a bicycle you've been eyeing. Last year it cost $200, now it's $220. What happened? This, my friends, is inflation in action. Inflation is a rise in the general price level of goods and services in an economy. Simply put, your money buys less than it used to. Remember that candy bar that was $1? Now it might be $1.25. That's inflation nibbling away at your purchasing power. Inflation is a natural part of any growing economy. A small amount of inflation is actually healthy. It signifies that the economy is active. But when inflation grows too high or too fast, it can destabilize an economy. Think of it like the expanding universe. Just as galaxies drift apart, the value of our money drifts downward when prices rise. So what causes this economic expansion? Let's explore the forces behind inflation. One major driver is demand pull inflation. Imagine everyone wanting the latest smartphone. Demand surges, but supply struggles to keep up. Prices rise as a result. On the flip side, we have cost push inflation. Imagine the price of oil skyrocketing. This increases production costs for many goods, leading to higher prices across the board. Monetary inflation occurs when the money supply increases faster than economic growth. Think of it like adding more water to a swimming pool. It dilutes the value of the existing water. Lastly, built-in inflation is a bit like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If people expect prices to rise, they demand higher wages. This in turn pushes businesses to increase prices, perpetuating the cycle. Understanding these causes is crucial to comprehending how inflation impacts our lives. Inflation's reach extends far beyond rising prices at the grocery store. It sets off a chain reaction, affecting various aspects of our lives. The most direct impact is the erosion of purchasing power. As prices rise, our income buys less, making it harder to afford necessities and maintain our living standards. Savers also feel the pinch. The value of their savings diminishes as inflation outpaces interest rates. Imagine diligently saving $1,000, only to realize it's worth less in the future due to inflation. Conversely, borrowers may benefit from inflation. They repay loans with money that's worth less than when they borrowed it. However, this benefit is a double-edged sword, as lenders often increase interest rates to compensate for inflation, making borrowing more expensive. Moreover, inflation creates economic uncertainty, making it difficult for businesses to plan for the future, and potentially hindering investment and economic growth. Section 4. Measuring the invisible CPI, PPI, and core inflation. Inflation is a tricky beast to pin down. We need ways to measure its elusive presence. Economists use various indicators, with the Consumer Price Index or CPI being the most prominent. The CPI tracks the average change in prices paid by urban consumers for a basket of goods and services, such as food, housing, transportation, and healthcare. It provides a snapshot of inflation's impact on everyday expenses. Another gauge is the Producer Price Index, or PPI, which measures the average change in selling prices received by domestic producers for their output. It reflects inflation at the wholesale level before goods reach consumers. Economists also look at core inflation, which excludes volatile food and energy prices, to gain a clearer picture of underlying inflationary pressures. These measures help us understand the scope and trajectory of inflation. Section 5. The many faces of inflation. Inflation, like a chameleon, can take on different forms depending on its severity and duration. Moderate inflation, typically below 3%, is generally considered manageable and even desirable for a healthy economy. It encourages spending and investment, fostering economic growth. However, when inflation spirals out of control, exceeding 10% or more, it becomes hyperinflation. This economic nightmare rapidly erodes the value of money, leading to social and political unrest. On the other end of the spectrum, we have deflation, a sustained decrease in the general price level. While seemingly beneficial, deflation can stifle economic activity as consumers delay purchases, anticipating further price drops, leading to a vicious cycle of economic contraction. Each type of inflation presents unique challenges and requires tailored solutions. Section 6. Taming the beast, controlling inflation. Controlling inflation is a delicate balancing act, primarily orchestrated by central banks and governments. Central banks, like the Federal Reserve in the United States, can influence inflation by adjusting interest rates. Raising interest rates makes borrowing more expensive, curbing spending and cooling down the economy. Conversely, lowering interest rates stimulates spending and investment, potentially fueling inflation. Governments can also use fiscal policies such as taxation and government spending to manage inflation. Increasing taxes or reducing government spending can help control inflation by reducing the money supply and curbing demand. These measures, while effective, require careful calibration to avoid unintended consequences, such as stifling economic growth or triggering a recession. Section 7. Inflation in Action, a trip to the grocery store. Let's bring this all down to earth with a simple example. Remember that loaf of bread you used to buy for $2? Due to various economic factors, the price has now risen to $2.50. Your dollar doesn't stretch as far as it used to. This is inflation in your shopping cart. It might mean having to make choices at the grocery store, opting for less expensive alternatives, or cutting back on certain items altogether. It's a subtle but constant reminder of inflation's impact on our daily lives. Inflation is a complex and ever-present force in our economy. Understanding its causes, effects, and how it's measured is crucial for navigating the financial landscape and making informed decisions about our economic well-being. So, the next time you're at the store, take a moment to consider the invisible hand of inflation at work and how it shapes the value of your hard-earned money.